Hi, everyone.
No, you can't start like that. Hi, everyone.
Hi, all. Welcome to what? Blah. Ah.
Oh,
Ah.
oh.
Um. Okay.
Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. It's called Culture Bucket. Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. Culture Bucket, Georgia and Alex.
Okay. Hi, all. Welcome back to Culture Bucket. This is the 31st episode of Culture Bucket. We've gotten into our fourth decade. Is that
Yeah,
right? I think.
I guess.
I'm your host, George. I am here to talk to you about culture and pop it all in a bucket. With me is my co-host, Alex. Hi, Alex.
Hi, George. Hi, everyone. How are you,
Hi, everyone.
George?
I'm pretty good today. I had a long drive yesterday, and I'm tired, and my brain isn't working properly.
Where did you go?
Oh, all places within legal ramifications of COVID.
I forgot.
Necessary
Let's not-
driving.
Yes, let's not divulge.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a week back in school, and I'm already done.
Good. I'm still
with
on my holidays, so I'm happy.
with my students. No, I love my students. I'm done with just driving to work every day. But yeah, I was thinking about you actually the
Oh
other
yeah.
day, and I was wondering. I haven't asked you how your Mind app is going. Is it still working? Are you still listening
Calm.
to? Yeah. Mind.
Well, it's a mindfulness app, isn't it? So it's
I
like,
guess. That's how my brain works. Like I don't really know the specific things. I just know around it. So the Calm app. How is the Calm app treating you?
it's treating me well. I'm still using it. I'm still using the sleep stories. I had a night a few nights ago where I really couldn't get to sleep, and I put a sleep story on, and I fell asleep within about 5 minutes. So it's still working. I'm liking it. Um, I want to try more of the meditation type stuff in it, but I've not had the patience yet. But I'll get
Yeah,
there. But the
yeah.
sleep
You need.
stories are worth it. I recommend it. Still strong recommend on the Calm app for certain.
Yeah, that's good. That's because I was thinking about it because I've when you get back to work, you can't really sleep very well. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I
no, I
I,
agree
I guess because
completely.
it's all the information that you do. You go
Yeah,
in and you have like, especially after. I think we were in isolation for like 5 weeks
yeah.
here. And so then the first week at school, it's just like trying to fall asleep, and I was like, "Bing!" Da, 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 da,
Oh
da,
well,
da, 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 da.
you should check it out. Listen to some people. Listen to Killian Murphy tell you about traveling across Ireland on a train, and that'll put you to sleep. They sell over here. You can get in Tesco. You can get jigsaws that are branded Calm jigsaws, and they link with the app. And you're meant to buy the jigsaw and do the jigsaw while listening to a specific thing on the app, and it's meant to help you with a bit of mindfulness or meditation and stuff like that. And I think if you buy the jigsaw, it gives you like a month free on the app or something. So sure, check that out. You're in the UK.
Sure.
Cool.
Cool.
Right. Today we'll do it later. Obviously, not right now. We're not going to upend the entire structure of our podcast just for you. But we are doing top 5 Coen Brothers films. What am I doing?
I don't know.
We're doing top 5 Coen Brothers movies today, which is exciting. We'll get into that more later. It's a bit more specific than we've done before, but I'm excited to talk about one of my favourite auteurs.
Mm.
Yeah. But quick note up top, we've both left off, I think, probably The Big Lebowski, only
Yeah.
because it was in our top 5 films. So that's already been covered. We know that we love that movie. So
Yeah.
we're going to highlight some other Coen Brothers films as well. But first, let's get into Culture Catch Up.
This is Culture Catch-Up Time. This is where we talk about what we've watched, what we've read, what we've listened to, and probably some other stuff.
I'm starting this week. Yeah?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
good. So, I have played a couple of video games this week.
Nice.
Nice. I've been able to spend some family time because it's been a holiday. So, I've been playing some games with my bro. And we've been playing some co-op games made by Hazelight Studios and published by EA. Do you know what a co-op game is, Alex?
I don't know. Co-op is a shop, but it's also cooperative. It could be like sustainable. Uh, no, something like that is made by people, but not big company. Like a no,
No.
but then no. Thinking about like nice and like free stuff and just go like
Yeah, no, I like where
is
you're
it
going with
all
this, Alex.
sustainable? No.
No, obviously not. It's it's where you work together with. It's where you play the game with somebody else and you work together to solve the game and complete it.
Ah.
So cooperative in that way, if you see what I mean.
Not cooperative as like a cooperative.
No, because that wouldn't be a type. That wouldn't like be a type of game. It would be like a way of making games, I guess. And maybe there are some public developers, indie developers that are a bit like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, as opposed to most multiplayer games, you're competing, aren't you? Like competitive
Yeah.
multiplayer games, and then you've got cooperative where you work together. So this developer made a game in I think about 2011 called Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, which was not a cooperative game. It was a single player game. But if you think about a game controller, Alex, you know how it's got the two kind of little joystick pads on it that you move your character with, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So in this game, Brothers, you played as two brothers, and the left joystick would control one brother, and the right joystick would control the other brothers. And you had to. It was quite an interesting game because you had to almost split your mind in two to complete challenges with both brothers. And it has a very emotional moment at the end of the game, and it's one of my favorite games of all time, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. And if you've not played it and you're listening, you should definitely check it out because it's beautiful and brilliant and wonderful. And the guy that made it, I think he's called Joseph. Let me look him up because he's an interesting man. Joseph Fares. So his first game was Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. He's a Swedish game designer, but before he was a game designer, he was a film director. And after Brothers came out, he did a talk at some award show where he just started going F the Oscars, I hate the Oscars, da 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 da. And people were a bit like, "You're a video game guy, what's going on?" But it turns out he's also a film guy, but he left the film industry because he hates it to now make video games. And he made a masterpiece in Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. Then he founded Hazelight Studios and started producing games with a focus on people playing them together, co-op games. And the first game he produced came out in 2018, and it is called A Way Out. And it is a game about two men. It's set in the 70s, and each player plays one of the two people. And basically, at the start of the game, you're both in prison, and the aim of the game is to escape from prison. Hence the title, A Way Out. Yeah? Yeah. So I've wanted to play it for a while. It's never been the right kind of circumstance because obviously you've got to find someone else to play it with. But because I've been, spending some time with family during this holiday, I was able to play through it with my brother. And I am going to have to report that it's one of the worst video games, Alex, I've ever played. How did this happen? Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is one of my favorite games of all time. Somehow, the same person that made that produced A Way Out, which I thought got quite poor reviews. But when I looked it up the other day, people loved this game. It's bizarre to me. The script is written by, it feels like somebody who watched all of Quentin Tarantino's movies in a single day and then just immediately wrote the script for this video game. But without any of the like originality or flair of Tarantino. And then they got the actors they hired to deliver the lines had never read English before, maybe had never read like had never like spoken out loud before. Maybe I don't know. I don't know
That's
how they found them,
terrible.
but it's just bizarre
Oh.
line readings across the board. The way you escape from prison is it happens quite early on, actually, because the game goes on to do a load of other stuff. It doesn't make sense. Like it, in order for the way you escape from prison in this game to work, it would mean that toilets in prisons aren't connected to any kind of plumbing system
Mm.
because you just drag the toilet away from the wall. It doesn't make any sense. It's so weird. Um, and then it's full of like I don't know, like the thing, like you're walking up to. This is a big issue of the game is like the screen is split in two. You're playing as one person, your co-op partner's playing as the other, and you're sat together on the couch, say, and you'll be dumped in a scenario like a prison yard, and you'll walk up to somebody and start talking to them, and then your partner walks up to somebody else and starts talking to them, and then you've got two conversations happening at the same time, different people, but the audio is just layering itself on top of each other. And without, if you turn subtitles off in this game, it would be impossible because you would have no idea. It would just be people talking over each other for 6 hours. It's bizarre, and then, like, it throws these mini games at you where, like, there's a bit where you're in a construction yard and there's some people arm wrestling. So you go up and go, "I want to arm wrestle," and you and your partner sit down and start arm wrestling. And what it results in is me and my brother sat on the couch just smashing the square button on our controllers. And the whole aim of it is just to see who can press square faster is the winner. It's not exactly sort of, top level game design. I don't know. So I played through it, realized quite quickly I didn't like it, but we played through it to the end. It's got a ludicrous twist that if you look at it online, people go, "Oh my god, the twist! It made me." Oh. But my brother found a review of somebody who said, "I've watched hundreds of films and played hundreds of video games, and none of them have ever made me cry until the ending of A Way Out, and that made me cry." No, 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 no. It's
Yes.
ludicrous.
Yeah,
So
it's your opinion. Like, I'm sure.
no, what somebody's seen hundreds of films and played hundreds of games, and this is the first time they've ever cried.
Oh,
That is
you're right. You're right.
absurd.
Yeah,
It's
you're right.
ridiculous. Um, so I played through it and didn't like it, but I'd heard that the next game that just came out from this developer, uh, called It Takes Two, has come out and had like loads of really good reviews. And I looked it up and it looked more my kind of thing. So then we downloaded that and we haven't finished that yet, but we've been playing that. And that is fantastic. And I'm happy to report that I've found a good game from this developer, which is good. In It Takes Two, you play as May and Cody, a married couple who live in a farmhouse with their daughter Rose. And at the start of the game, it's revealed that May and Cody are going to get a divorce because they're not happy together anymore. They break the news to their daughter Rose, who runs upstairs and starts crying and is upset. And she's made two little dolls of her parents. May is made out of wood and has blue hair, and Cody is made out of clay and has like green hair. And she cries, her tears land on the dolls, and she throws them down to the side. And suddenly the dolls get up, and somehow the parents have been turned into the dolls, if that makes sense. So then
Oh.
it's like a kind of Honey I Shrunk the Kids type scenario where you're like tiny and you're working through the house to try and get back to your daughter
Mm.
to try and become, normal people again. She's brought this book online called like the Book of Love or something that's meant to be like a way of couples who are arguing getting back together. And the book comes to life and is kind of like leading you through the game, and it's got this
Mm.
ridiculous voice that's quite funny. And like in the first level, for example, you're in the tool shed, and the vacuum cleaner that the husband broke, and then the wife didn't fix because she's an engineer and she was meant to fix it. That comes to life and is angry at you for sort of throwing it aside when it broke, and that's the boss of that level. And you've got to go through all these vacuum tubes, and the way it works is because you're the only characters really. You're not running off and having different conversations with other people like you were in A Way Out. You're kind of bantering between the two characters the whole game, so it works better as a co-op thing in that way, I think. And it's just full of really imaginative, like it's so colourful, it's so imaginative and different and interesting. Like after the tool shed, you go to the tree in the garden, and it's got like these military squirrels living in it that give you two guns, and this is another good thing is you get the characters feel really distinct. So in this sequence, May gets a gun that shoots matches and sets things on fire,
Mm.
and Cody gets a gun that shoots nectar or sap. And the way you can work together is when you get attacked by a wasp or something, for example, if Cody shoots it with sap and nectar, it gets weighed down and the nectar's flammable. So then if you shoot a match at it, it explodes. So you can kind of combine your weapons to be more powerful, if that makes sense. And you can burn down structures to get through the level and things. So it kind of feels like a true cooperative experience where you're each given a kind of, and in the tool shed, one of you gets a hammer, one of you gets nails that you can throw. So you have to kind of work together to solve puzzles. We've just done a level where you go through the bedroom, and that's incredibly colourful because you're interacting with all these different toys. It's awesome. So we haven't finished that yet, but It Takes Two is incredible, and everything that the follow-up to Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons should be. And for me, A Way Out was hopefully just a blip on this developer's radar because, yeah, I'd really, really recommend if you can find a friend to play it with. It Takes Two is really good. And they do a good thing where if one person buys the game, they can get like a friend pass to allow somebody else to download the game for free so that they can play it together, if you see what I mean. So
Mm.
they've done quite a good job of making it accessible to people. So that's really cool. It Takes Two is a big recommendation. Then I've got some films to talk about. I watched a movie on Netflix last week called Run. Have you heard of Run?
Yes,
Yes.
from you.
Yeah, probably for me.
Yeah,
It's a
I think you talked about it to me. Yeah.
it's a film directed by hang on, what am I doing? It's directed by Anish Chaganty, and I think it's his second film. And his first film was a movie called Searching that came out a few years ago, and that's a film that stars John Cho as a father who's looking for his missing daughter. And that film's
Mm.
told entirely through his laptop screen and Skype conversations and stuff, which is quite cool. A good film. Run is a more traditional movie, but it stars Sarah Paulson as a mother and Kira Allen as her teenage daughter, who is wheelchair bound, uses a wheelchair for mobility, and has a variety of conditions like diabetes and asthma and things, and is quite sickly. So is homeschooled, lives at home, and looked after by the mum. And the film is basically a big homage to Misery, where the daughter starts to suspect that the mum isn't as loving and caring as she makes out to be, if you see what I mean.
Mm.
And it's really, really tense and obviously quite, what's the word? That's quite an intense situation to put on the screen. Is a daughter who ends up as afraid of her mother, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So it works on that level, and also the actor who plays the daughter, Kira Allen, uses a wheelchair for mobility in real life. She was diagnosed with MS, I think, when she was 14. I think I read on Wikipedia.
Mm.
Oh no, sorry, since 2014, she's used a wheelchair for mobility. She was diagnosed with MS, and it's the first time, according to IMDb or something, that a thriller movie has starred a female actor that uses a wheelchair since 1948, which is a very long
Ridiculous.
time. Yeah, so it's good. It's good that the directors and the producers of this movie made the effort to cast somebody in that role who can actually. And the scenes where she's not in the wheelchair and she's having to sort of drag herself along, and you can really sense, the actress is able to really convey, obviously, what that would be like because she's really genuinely doing it, and it's incredibly. There's the classic thriller scenes of she's trying to do something upstairs while the mum's downstairs, and she's constantly worried the mum's going to come upstairs and find her, and it's really, it's brilliant. It's really good. I would recommend this film really, really strongly. I think I gave it 4 stars, and it's just a good thriller with a
Mm.
great cast. Kira Allen, I hope, can continue acting and turn up in lots more films because she's really, really good in this movie. Obviously, Sarah Paulson has made a career out of playing slightly unsettling people. So fantastic stuff. I loved it. I really liked it. So Run
Awesome.
is a big recommendation for me.
It's amazing how we take for granted actors and actresses. Like if somebody has got some, disability, they don't necessarily think that a job could be an actor or an actor.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that because, well, it's crazy. It's crazy, isn't it? Because actors are supposed to represent real life,
Yeah.
films, kind of. And the fact that there hasn't been anyone since 1948, that means that people with disabilities haven't even considered the job, which is ridiculous. I never
Yeah,
thought
although
about that
it is
actually.
couching it in quite a specific thing of like starring in a thriller. So I imagine there's been movies featuring actors in wheelchairs since, if you see what I mean. But it's
Yeah,
definitely
but how
better
often have
for.
you? But if you think about all the films you watched, how often have you seen an actor in a wheelchair
Yeah,
or with
definitely
a
not very often. So it's
disability?
good for
Yeah,
representation that this movie has done this, and I hope
yeah.
that she's really good in it. Hopefully, she
Mm,
gets more recognition and can find more roles and continue working because she's really
yeah.
good. And gets it like yeah, because you're all right. Like acting should be open to anyone, and film roles shouldn't be. And also, no, well, if you use a wheelchair for mobility, obviously you need to play characters that use wheelchairs. But if you
Yeah.
think about an actor like Peter Dinklage, do you know Peter Dinklage?
Oh, I don't know.
He plays Tyrion Lannister in uh, Game of Thrones, and he's a short short person. I don't know what the correct term
Link.
is,
Yeah.
but he is. He plays a dwarf in Game of Thrones. He's described as a dwarf in Game of Thrones. He's a very
Mm,
short actor, but now he's become. He's very very successful. He's a very popular actor, and in recent movies, like he was in an X-Men film. He was in Um, I Care a Lot that I watched recently and talked about. What else has he
mm.
been in? There's something else. Oh, he was in Avengers Infinity War. He plays the guy that makes the axe in Infinity War.
Ah, yeah.
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 And in films like, for example, X-Men Apocalypse, I think is the one he's in, and is it Days of Future? No, I think it's Days of Future Past. X-Men Days of Future Past and I Care a Lot. He plays characters where no reference at all is made to the fact that he's short, or like no reference is made to his height at all. And I think
Mm,
that's really good for representation as well, is that there are starting to be actors who are being cast in roles that don't highlight their physical disability that you can see, if that makes sense.
yeah.
And hopefully we can, that can start to become more and more prevalent, and
Mm.
yeah, and it can be a profession that's open to as many people as possible. So next, I watched a movie on Amazon Video that I've wanted to watch for ages, since I think 2019, maybe at the Sundance Film Festival. It made headlines because it was the biggest ever sale. I think it sold at the Sundance Film Festival for like $17.5 million or something huge. So it's been a long time coming, and finally it's hit the UK on Amazon Prime Video, and it's an Andy Samberg movie called Palm Springs. Have you heard of Palm Springs?
Yes, you told me about it, and I watched it too.
Oh, you did. Oh, fantastic. We can talk about it
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Palm Springs is a movie starring Andy Samberg as Niles and
Yep.
Kristin Milioti as Sarah. Two guests at a wedding in, I guess, Palm Springs in America, and it's basically a romantic comedy with a twist of there being a time loop involved, in a la Groundhog Day, Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
What are the other big recent time loop films? Oh, Happy Death Day.
Mm.
They're big business time loop movies for some reason. So yeah, basically Andy Samberg's character Niles is trapped in this time loop where he is reliving this wedding every day and can't escape. And he accidentally gets Christine Miliotti's character Sarah involved in the time loop as well. And the movie is
Mm.
about their attempts to break out. What did you think of it?
What it's just what are the perfect timing to be in a time loop, like a wedding
Oh
with,
yeah, yeah.
with everybody there, all the food, all the booze. It's like, weddings are quite fun if you're not, they look fun.
That's Andy
Um,
Samberg's take on it. It's definitely in the film.
yeah, and I think that's good. I really enjoyed it. I thought there were some really funny moments. Um, because they're in a loop, they test different things out. Like there's a moment where they're driving and she falls off the car. I thought that was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
It's funny, but not in a very intelligent way. In a way,
Yeah, yeah. It's
in a
funny
way,
in
in a
quite a
way.
charming way, isn't it?
Yeah, and the chemistry between Andy Samberg and what's her name?
Kristin
Kristin
Milioti.
and Milioti is really nice. It kind of
Yeah.
grows throughout the film, and it kind of like it's them growing, and their friendship grows, and they have more fun, and they seem to be happy in there. But there's also she wakes up to a reality that she doesn't want to wake up to every morning, so she
Yeah.
kind of wants to change it. So both of them kind of, but even Andy Samberg's character wakes up in a reality he doesn't want to really wake up to. His girlfriend Misty, who seems like a nightmare.
Yeah. But he's just
Like
sort of become acclimatized almost, hasn't he, in a way where she
yeah,
hasn't yet.
yeah. What I liked is it doesn't really explain what is wrong with their relationship, with Misty and Niall's relationship. Like, where did it go wrong? That doesn't really explain it. Like, everything that's happening is happening in the time loop.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. What did you think of the film?
I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. It's a very good sort of hungover on a Sunday morning kind of movie. Like I could see myself putting it on again when I just want something that I can watch without too much. Like it's a very
Yeah,
charming film, and
yeah,
the humor's very kind of pleasant and gentle. It's not kind of gross out humor in any way. It's just sort of quite funny and witty and works on the charm of its leads. And, Andy Samberg, if anyone's watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine or anything else has been in, he's like, one of the most kind of effortlessly funny and charming actors
yeah.
around. Kristen Milioti is brilliant. She's been referred to for too long as the mother from How I Met Your Mother because that was kind of
Oh,
her first big role.
yeah.
But she's proven, I think, like she was in an episode of Black Mirror that she's fantastic in. Like she has
Mm.
range and she's great and she's very, very funny and very, very, charming and talented. So she's really good in the movie as well. And the two of them together, it just works. There's lots of really great scenes of those two together. He's not in it much, but you've got the incredible J.K. Simmons just
It
turning
was
up
so
every so
good.
often to just be absolutely amazing,
Yeah.
as another person that's involved in the time loop. And it's just great, and it kind of it doesn't feel the need to maybe explain itself too much. It's
No.
got some really interesting, kind of ambiguous bits and pieces in there that kind of leave you, even by the end, you're still not quite sure what you've seen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's lovely. It's a really good film. It's on. I think it's probably available now to most people. I think in America it's on Hulu and it's been out for a while. It's just turned
Mm.
up in the UK and I assume in
In
Italy on
Italy, yeah.
Prime. So it should be quite accessible, quite watchable. It's only about 90 minutes long. It's perfect length for a
Mm.
comedy. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think people should definitely check it out. It's a great film.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that it doesn't have to explain itself is that's a really good point actually, because that you don't even know by the end what's happened really.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But you don't need to, do you? It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
no, you don't. It's just there, and they're together, and they're happy, and they're cool. They're cool
Yeah,
kids.
yeah, definitely. I love it. So that's cool. That's my film. Then I've got a special little ranking for you, Alex, especially for you, because I finished my rewatch of the Saw films.
Okay.
So I think I'd watched the first two last time we spoke,
Yeah.
but now I've watched all 8 in preparation for Spiral, the
Wow.
9th film that's coming out in May. So I'm ready to just give a quick ranking, in my opinion, of the Saw movies. So at number 8, we've
Yeah.
got Saw 5, by far the worst Saw movie. It focuses entirely on Hoffman. Anyone who's familiar with the Saw mythology knows who I'm talking about. And he becomes obsessed with explaining how Hoffman got involved in becoming a jigsaw apprentice. And frankly, Costas Mandylor, who plays Hoffman, should not be allowed in front of a camera ever again. The man has got no charisma. And in fact, the Saw movies have this obsession with like they got an incredible actor in Tobin Bell to play Jigsaw, and he's so charismatic and charming and weird on screen, and he really works. And then when they start casting people to be his apprentices, they just get obsessed with these kind of doughy bros, and Hoffman is the first and the worst of them. And he's just rubbish. And yeah, so Saw 5 is pretty weak for that. And it's even though it features the great Julie Benz who played Darla in Buffy, it still just doesn't stack up. Then at 7, Saw 3D, the final chapter, which was at the time the last Saw movie. It was because they did Saw and it was such a big success. They then released one movie every year until Saw 3D, the final chapter, and that was the last annual installment. It's kind of my problem with Saw 3D is it's too glossy. It opens with a trap that is so over the top, and it doesn't look like anything else I've ever done in a Saw movie. It's happening outside in broad daylight in this kind of glass cage, and people are watching. And I really thought it was going to be like, for example, in Scream, from Scream 2 onwards, there's like a fictional film franchise within that world called Stab, and it's meant to be like almost a parody of Scream itself, if you see what I mean. I
Mm.
thought Saw was doing that the first time I watched Saw 3D, because this trap seemed like such a kind of ridiculous thing that wouldn't exist in the Saw movie. But no, it was real. It's part of the film. And they bring back Cary Elwes and do nothing with him. The lead person that's going through the traps in Saw 3D is Sean Patrick Flannery, who plays one of the Boondock Saints, which I think I talked a while ago about how much I hate that film. So yeah, Saw 3D doesn't do much for me. Then at number 6, Jigsaw, the 2017 kind of reboot of the franchise where they brought it back after like a 6-year break. It's just again, it's got this obsession with a doughy bro that it brings in to get involved in it, and it's just got no charisma. It tries to be a bit too clever with its twists and just ends up not really making sense. Like, there's a flat screen TV in a scene that's, so it turns out, is meant to be taking place in like 2002 or something, which just doesn't make sense.
Mm.
And it's a bit too glossy. It's a bit too, like, they've reduced the gore to try and make it a bit funnier, and it just doesn't quite.
Yeah.
The tone doesn't work really for a Saw movie, but it's okay. It's got some fun traps and some fun visuals and stuff, and it's decent enough. But I think ultimately it's just not ambitious enough for the film that was meant to bring the franchise back. And I hope that Spiral corrects that, and is, the fact that Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock are in Spiral kind of shows that they've upped their ambition levels. So hopefully we'll see something interesting. Then at 5, we've got Saw 3, which is one of the ones where you get the most Tobin Bell, which is good, but it's also almost 2 hours long, which is a cardinal sin for a Saw movie. The rest of them are all about 90 minutes, and that's the perfect length. Saw 4 is in at number 4, and I don't have too much to say about that other than it's got some good traps and it's fairly serviceable. At number 3, I've got Saw 2, which is a bit of an outlier. It doesn't feel like any of the other sequels. It's about these people going through a house trying to solve various traps together, which is cool. Donnie Wahlberg is in it as Detective Matthews, and he's got at least some kind of presence on screen, which is definitely lacking for some of the other people. And and you get probably the most Tobin Bell you get in any of the films is in Saw 2, which is cool. In at number 2, the best of the sequels is Saw 6,
Mm-hmm.
which is one where they try to get a bit political and going on the American healthcare system, and it does pay off quite well. Like, the lead guy going through the traps is a person who is like the head of a medical insurance company who's denied Jigsaw medical insurance, and he's kind of torturing him for being so heartless with that kind of stuff, which is, quite effective. And they should have tried that in other films as well, making giving some actual kind of weight to the victims, but they didn't. But Saw 6 is good. And then in at number 1 is obviously the best and the first of them, Saw 1, which again is like a Seven style thriller and not the kind of gore fest that the rest of the films became, and is a really good little low budget thriller movie. And there is my ranking of the Saw films. I hope you
Wow.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
I loved it.
Did you? Are you going to watch any of them?
No.
No. Fair enough.
No way. There's no way I'm going to watch people being trapped in places or getting, I don't know, tortured. Is that what happens?
Yeah, sort of broadly tortured.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Like,
You don't want to see a man with his head stuck in a see-through cube that's filling with water, like in the No Surprises video?
No. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about a man who's been glued to a car seat, and unless he can pull himself off the car seat and stop the car, it's going to crush another person's head?
No.
No.
Yes. Well, yeah, so the ranking was I don't know. No.
All right. That's all my culture catch-up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very nice.
What have you got?
Very, very nice. What I've got. Okay, so I watched Palm Springs, which I thought was brilliant, and we just talked about it. Good movie. Watch it.
Yeah.
It's on Prime. And then I watched a 2019 film called Brittany Runs A Marathon. And it stars Gillian Bell, which she's a comedian.
Yeah.
And it's about Brittany, who lives in New York, and she's employed in a theater, kind of dead end job, and she lives with her roommate Gretchen, who is a teacher's assistant and obsessed with social media, and her boyfriend, and they have fun, they go to parties, they take drugs, and one day she goes to a doctor, and she it's funny, Gillian Bell is really funny. She's one of those kind of like really dry funny,
Yeah.
and so she just says, oh, I feel very tired, and my friend has had the same. I think she's been taking Adderall, and the doctor says, "Oh, usually people take that as a, recreationally." It's like, "Oh, really?" And it's just how she does things. It's really fun, and he then tells her that she's kind of she has to lose weight because her weight could spiral into something more.
Yeah.
And then she decides to run a marathon, and she finds friends to do it with, and the film is about her from the start when she tries to kind of like run for the first time, and then until she manages finally to make run the marathon. Like this film could go wrong in so many ways, because we're talking about a doctor telling a girl to lose weight,
Yeah.
and it does not. It's a brilliant film for me because it does not stop at that. Like the weight is not the problem; it's how Brittany is that is the problem. In the
Yeah.
sense of like Brittany doesn't feel that she can be successful. Brittany doesn't feel like she can. I think she's like in a downward spiral, and I
Yeah.
think the weight adds to that, and that's the thing,
Yeah.
and then even after she loses weight, the problems, her emotional problems, are still there. So the film is not about losing weight, but the film is about sorting your life out and knowing that whatever size, shape, job you have, you need to first focus on yourself, and then all the rest will come. And I thought it was really good because there's so many films about like a woman that has to become more beautiful, but this is not a film about that. And at the beginning I was a bit skeptical that it might be, but it's more about that. It's more about what kind of society we live in, what we accept, how judgmental we are of ourselves. And when we judge ourselves in a certain way, then we judge other people the same way. And there's a really interesting scene after like she loses loads of weight, and then she talks to a girl, and she judges her like she would judge herself.
Yeah.
But nobody else is judging her. So we are the worst people to judge other people because we judge first ourselves, and then we put what we put on ourselves on other people. It's funny. It's got some good fiery characters. Michaela Watkins is in it. She's been in Saturday Night Live, and I've seen it often, but never really. Like if you see her, you know who she is. But I think I've seen it in Saturday Night Live and some other things. But
Okay. Oh, I think I recognise her. Yeah, she's turned up in loads of stuff.
yeah, exactly. So, but I can't really pinpoint where I've seen her mostly. But I think it was Saturday Night Live. And then her love interest, Utkarsh and Bdukar. He's real fun in this film. I really like him, and they've got a really good chemistry, and it's really, really good. I like it. I think it's an enjoyable film,
Oh, that's
especially if as as society, I think even boys and men can be related. Like the pressure of how a body image and body weight is pretty big. I think on women quite a lot, but I think men as well, but don't admit it. And I think it's quite good to kind of have a more refreshing a more realistic and refreshing view on how exactly we are. But yeah, moving on. The next film I watched is a film from 2020 starring my new favorite actress, Anya Taylor-Joy. And the film is Emma.
Oh, you watched Emma. Okay.
Yeah, I watched Emma. So Emma is a film based on Jane Austen's 1815 novel, which is called Emma.
Yeah.
And Emma, Anya Taylor-Joy plays Emma, who is Emma Woodhouse, and she's a very wealthy young woman that lives with her father in Regency era England. She is maybe the queen bee. She's very spoiled. Nobody's ever said no to her. She loves matchmaking and meddling in romances, and then she creates chaos and sufferance, and I really enjoyed the film. I read the book many years ago, and then I was very excited when in 1996 Gwyneth Paltrow played Emma. It was very disappointing, her portrayal of Emma, because it was too lovely and sweet. Emma is not lovely and sweet. She's a little devil.
Right.
She's because that's what she was. And Jane Austen, in Jane Austen's book, she always made fun. It's always a satire against the social class and up against kind of like the bourgeoisie, the ruling class in England, and I love that because it's just an interesting way to like an author at that age kind of making fun of this, and it's a funny book. And the 1996 version was not funny, and Gwyneth Paltrow, she was great but not great, but this was fantastic. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Anya Taylor-Joy as Emma is perfect. It shows the ridiculousness of certain rules during that era,
Yeah.
the frustration of people not being able to talk to each other properly about things face to face. You couldn't like say things, and you can see the frustration. And the cast is great. There's Anya Taylor-Joy. Then there's two actors from Sex Education.
Oh, really?
And they are Tanya Reynolds, who plays Lily. Do you remember Lily?
Lily,
The one that likes
the tentacles. Yeah.
the tentacles, yeah. And then Connor Ryan Swindles, who plays Adam. He plays the principal's son.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Mia Goth.
I know that name.
She was in an Nymphomaniac, and she was married and got a marriage annul from Shia LaBeouf.
Oh.
Miranda Hart, Bill Nye.
Miranda Hart?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. She's perfect for the role. Is she in it much? A little bit, yeah, but she plays Mrs. Bates, who's a woman that talks a little bit too much, and she lost all of her wealth. And Emma kind of, at one point, there's a scene where you go, oh, where she's very bad, Emma, against Mrs. Bates, and you just go, oh my God, I don't know. I love the book. I love the fact that they represented the in such a good way. The director is her it's her directorial debut, so, and it looks beautiful as well as a film. It's a really, really good, well-made film, and I think it just portrays the book really well and how the time was and the frustration that people had not being able to communicate, and I really, really enjoyed it. So if you are interested, watch it. It's great.
What about the scene where she makes her nose bleed on cue?
Did she make it? What?
Apparently, she's
Did she do that?
she realised when they were filming that scene that she can just make her nose bleed. Anya Taylor-Joy. I was reading.
That scene is so much fun.
Is it
It's just like
interesting?
because her Emma and Mr. Knightley are really frustrated because I think they really, really like each other.
Yeah.
And the frustration is there, and then her nose starts bleeding, and you go, "Oh my god!" It's just it's so brilliant. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because I love the book, and
No, I really want to see it. I've heard it's really good, and I love Anya Taylor-Joy, so.
Yeah, the costumes are great. It's just a good adaptation, and I think it's one of the best adaptations of Jane Austen's novel.
Wow.
Yeah, well, the Pride and Prejudice series in 1990, whatever, that was pretty good as well. But I thought this was great. And then I watched a documentary, Amazon documentary called One Child Nation,
Okay.
2019 documentary. Have you heard of it?
No.
So it's a film directed by Nanfu Wang, which apparently has made loads of documentaries. I'm going to check out because this one was great, and is about the China's one child policy that lasted. I didn't realize from 1979 to 2015.
Yeah.
Like that's a crazy amount of time.
Yeah.
And this documentary has had loads of awards, and I understand why, because when you think about your country, I never thought about the one child policy as being anything but people just having one child. I don't know why. That's all I thought about.
No, there's loads of side effects of it, isn't there?
But not just the side effects. How are you going to implement that? And the way they implemented one-child policy was insane. Female sterilization, abortions, abandoning children, like crazy.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Me as being an outsider, and she, first of all, she did. Both her and the other person that directed this documentary, Jialing Zhang, they both were born in the 1980s, and that's when it started. So it was the hardest time to implement this, and they never thought about it as a bad thing until they left, and then they realized what people had to go through.
Yeah.
And what the people of that time in China had to go through, and the women had to go through, and all they could say was, "We had no choice." And it's incredible how so much propaganda and so much power from your state just completely crushes the people that live in it, and they say we had no choice. I really enjoyed this documentary because it's trying not to be biased. She's annoyed about it because so many of her family that she didn't realize had to give up babies. And I think her mom got sterilized, and she was trying to, but then it's not their fault if you have a government that is so strong.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes the most damning thing can just be to state the facts without any bias or flavor to it, and let people make up their own minds.
Yeah. And I thought, and there was one line that was really interesting that at the end, she's like, I come from a place where women the government was deciding for women to get abortions. And now I live in a country where the government is trying to decide, trying to choose the women not to abort. And she says, at the end of the day, they're just trying to control women's bodies. And it's so true, isn't it? Like, you can't, like, if you're from America, you cannot say, oh, well, China this, because you're doing the same thing, but they're the opposite. Like, you're not letting a choice. So I thought it was interesting. It's it's good. It's a good documentary. I was very impressed with the things I watched this week.
Where did you watch that documentary?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. Interesting. I remember learning about that in school in geography and just thinking it was a bad idea. I don't know. I remember.
What? But that's me too. I've always thought it was weird, but I never knew how they implemented it.
See, that's it. Because I remember when I learned about it in school, I learned about it with the context of, and then it's resulted in baby girls dying and being thrown away and stuff. So
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
learned about it, I learned the context of,
Mm.
well, the negative side effects, I guess, or the negative effects even
Yeah.
of implementing such a
Yeah.
policy. Of like, it's not as simple as
Mm.
just saying everyone have one baby. People are going to
Yeah.
inevitably have more than one baby, and then what happens? And people are going to want boys and not girls because they're ridiculous and
Because they're being brainwashed that having a boy is better, but
yeah.
boys cannot make babies. So you want?
Yeah,
Oh,
you
I
need
don't
a
know.
bit of an even split, really, if you want to continue a I don't know. It's ridiculous. Anyway,
Yeah.
what else?
What else? What else? So I watched a YouTube video that I'm going to show you later.
Okay,
For our beautiful YouTube video section.
it's
Is it
called
section?
MyTube. Thank you very much.
MyTube, sorry, for MyTube. And because I watched this YouTube video, I listened finally 2 years late to Fine Line, the album by Harry Styles.
Oh, okay.
Have you listened to it?
No.
Okay. Well, me neither. I was like, I'm not. I wasn't it. I was like, what? Then I watched this YouTube video
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, okay. I'll have a listen. And so I listened to Fine Line, which is Harry Styles' second studio album, and which was released in December 2019, so nearly 2 years ago. I can't believe 2019 was 2 years ago. That's
I know.
crazy.
Feels like
This
yesterday.
COVID stuff has. And I really enjoyed that album.
Oh.
His voice has changed a lot since the era of One Direction.
That's what makes
And
you
it's very
beautiful.
and it's very like deep and kind of rusky I don't know. I really enjoyed it. And I think it's inspired by a breakup. I think a lot of I think he broke up from his girlfriend and he wrote loads of lyrics. In fact, there's loads of lyrics about her calling her baby somebody else. But I thought it was really, really good and has got some really good tunes. If I don't know, if you have like a moment, George, I think you should try and listen to it because you might like it.
Okay.
Could I say that? You might like it.
Maybe. I'm sure that I've
Maybe.
listened to that watermelon. Is it called Watermelon Sugar?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Watermelon sugar high. Watermelon sugar high. Yeah.
Yeah. I
That's
don't
not
like
the
that
best song though.
Okay, good.
But you're going to you're going to listen to probably a rendition of that song in a second.
Oh, okay, good. That's great. Cool.
And yeah, that's it for me for my cultura catch-up. Caciappo di cultura.
I like it. Right, well, let's do MyTube then.
Okay. Can I send you 2 videos?
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay. One is Harry Styles, which I just said,
Cool.
which I thought was good. And it's so the first video I'm going to show you is Harry Styles at the Grammys from this year.
Okay. So I'm looking at a YouTube video. It's loading. It's called Harry Styles full HQ live perform.
George, you don't need to read everything.
I do. There's a Tropicana advert first. Harry Styles' full high-quality live performance at the Grammys, at the #Grammys. He does have a much deeper voice than he used to.
Yeah.
He's wearing a sort of... I don't know about what he's wearing.
I think it's like a dragon's tail.
Yes.
Or like a big rat. Like, it looks like he's having a great time.
He does.
Yeah.
Looks like
I
a
know.
man.
Well, I feel like when people have a good time with their music, I really enjoy them. Because I feel like they really believe in their music. And I was like, I respect you.
He's taken off the weird feather boa thing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's dancing.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
I know.
Okay.
It's fun, isn't it?
It is reasonably fun.
Like, I feel like he just loves doing what he does. He just looks so happy. And then you'll see Billy in a second. And if Billy likes him, I like him. What?
And he's just really enjoying it, isn't he? It's good.
Yeah, he's loving it.
Yeah, that was a good performance. I still don't totally know about the song for me, but that was a good performance.
I don't know. I just thought, you might enjoy it. And
I'll probably
then
go
I'm
and
gonna
listen to that song again to see. So what's next?
The next one is this artist called, I don't know anything about the artist. I only saw her the other day on YouTube, but she's called Ashiniko.
Okay.
And the song is Daisy, but she is, in this video, she features Atsune Miku, which is a Vocaloid.
A
Do you know what
Vocaloid. I know
Vocaloid?
Hatsune Miku. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's a Vocaloid. Vocaloid are these artists in Japan, but they're not real artists. They're like they're computer generated people.
Yeah.
So the actual computer generated person is famous, not the person that's creating the voice.
Yeah, well, I think the
So-
voice is entirely artificial. There's no actual
Is
human
the voice
there.
artificial as well?
That's my understanding of it. And then there's songwriters obviously writing the songs, but I don't think there's anyone singing who is Hatsune Miku. I think it's a totally artificial. That's my understanding. I might be wrong, but that's what I was
Maybe.
led to believe.
But yeah, I think it's bonkers. But I never seen a Vocaloid. Well, I think they might have done it before, but that was the first time, and I saved the video for you. A
Hatsune
Vocaloid,
Miku's the big one.
duetting with a real person.
Yeah,
But the
yeah,
real
that's interesting.
person is also in Vocaloid form.
Interesting. I mean, it's a bit like Gorillaz, but I guess that with Gorillaz, it is Damon Albarn singing, and then they've just done
Yeah.
animated music videos effectively. But with
Yeah.
a Vocaloid, I think it is an AI sort of algorithm that's producing the actual vocals, which is interesting.
Yeah. Well, I've sent it to you now. So the video I'm showing George is Ashiniko, which is, I think she's an American artist. Daisy. The song is Daisy, and it features Hatsune Miku, who is a Vocaloid. Have you pressed play?
Playing now, it's just started.
You show me weird stuff, I show you weird stuff.
I mean, this is weird.
What do you think?
I mean, it's fascinating.
Yeah. It's bizarre, isn't it?
I mean, who is this? Who's Ashiniko?
She's an artist. I think she came out last year. I don't know. I saw her on Jimmy Fallon, and so I went to check. I check on YouTube, and I found this video. I was like, oh, George is gonna love it.
It's pretty great. Is she American?
I think so.
Interesting. Wonder how she came to like collaborate with Hatsune Miku.
Yeah, I don't know. She probably went, "Can I do it with you, Hatsune Miku?" Like to the people that created. They're like, "Yeah,
Why not?
why not?"
Oh, her album cover's just shown up on my screen, and I recognise that. I think I've seen. Fascinating. That was pretty good.
yeah, that's my tube selection for the week.
Nice.
I hope you enjoyed it. And I know you don't like Jimmy Fallon. I know it's on Jimmy Kimmel, not Jimmy Fallon. So yeah, she performs this song on Jimmy Kimmel,
Interesting. I might have to check that out as well.
and it's a bizarre performance. But yeah, yeah.
Can I share my tube with you? Do we have time?
Yeah, if you want.
It's Wolf Alice, The Last Man on Earth, and it's their Live on Later performance. So the video is called Wolf Alice, The Last Man on Earth, Live on Later, and it's uploaded by BBC Music.
Later with Jules Holland. Okay, yeah, I've got it.
Cool.
Shall I press play?
Press play, please. See what you think of this.
It's just social distance, isn't it? It's like.
Oh well, yeah.
Hmm.
So they're not doing it in the studio, the Jules Holland studio at the moment. I think the bands are sort of making their own things, which makes it a bit better in some ways. I think they have a bit more freedom to try stuff out.
Yeah. I didn't realize that the front person was a woman, but
Yeah.
she did. The band is called Wolf Alice.
Exactly. I don't think she's called Alice though. Or does she? I don't know. She's called Ellie.
But Wolf Ellie doesn't sound very good, does it?
No. Her voice though, that sounds good.
It's amazing. Is it a band or is it just her?
No, it's a band. They're a band. You'll see.
Just because it's so far apart.
Yeah.
It just seems like they're backing soon. See, I'd never listened to Wolf Alice and I was not expecting this at all. Wow, her voice is crazy. Wow.
It really is. The bit where the rest of the band comes in gives me goosebumps in that video.
Goosebumps. Yes, very good. I enjoyed it.
Did you? Was it good?
Yeah. It was
Cool.
good. Very good.
That would have been in my top 5 YouTube performance, I think, if it had come out when we did that. I really like it.
Well, we should do it again. Top 5 YouTube performance 2022. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, we'll do it again in the future because it's always new YouTube performances.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do this. Homework time.
Sit down at the back and be quiet and get out your book because it's time to discuss your homework. Now.
Top 5 80s bands last week. So we did. I had to listen to the album "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This" by the Eurythmics, and you had to listen to "Stop Making Sense" by Talking Heads. So I'll start. I sat down and listened to that Eurythmics album. "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This." It was released in 1983 in January. By the Eurythmics, the sort of synth pop new wave band that we talked about last week that you really like. And I'd never listened to a full album before by Eurythmics, but obviously I know the song "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This" because it's kind of one of those, everyone's heard that song over and over again, and because it's wonderful. So it was interesting to hear the album, and that song's almost like a bit of an outlier on the album itself because the rest of it's a bit sort of moodier, isn't it, and darker.
Yeah, definitely.
And then that song, as soon as that song starts, it almost takes you out of the album because you're like, oh, it's "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This."
Yeah.
But I was quite
I think
pleasantly
because it's so famous, though. I think because you'd heard it so many times, you don't expect it to be in that album.
Yeah, your voice has gone odd. Have you done something?
No?
You sound very echoey suddenly.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
You were in my jumper.
No, that makes sense. So, yeah, you've heard that song so many times. It's interesting to hear the other songs, and it does that thing as it happens occasionally where the album is an odd listen because it's got in the middle of it's got this thing that doesn't sound like it's part of the album because you're so used to hearing it elsewhere. But I was pretty pleasantly surprised by the rest of the album, especially the second half after "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This." There's some really moody pieces on there. There's a song called "Jennifer" that I really liked that gets quite almost
Yeah.
it kind of almost, you can see a sort of lineage between this album and the first Nine Inch Nails album that Trent Reznor did. The Pretty Hate Machine album's got a lot of synth pop sounds on it, and when this album gets a bit darker and Annie Lennox gets a bit kind of more loud with her vocals, it starts to move towards, you can kind of see how this music sort of evolved into what Trent Reznor started doing at the end of the 80s into the 90s, which is really interesting for me to hear where that came from. This Is the House is a really good song as well. But yeah, definitely, I really liked it. And in particular, I liked how much moodier and darker it was than what I assumed it was going to be based on the song "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This." It was a bit more kind of, I don't know, subtle than that, which is nice. So yeah, I liked it. A good listen.
Yeah. I think they managed to attract the audience because they didn't have the audience in their first album, and I think with the song "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This," they managed to attract the audience to kind of like
Sustain themselves.
listen to, yeah, and just to kind of listen to their album. But yeah, no, I'm glad you enjoyed it because like people, Eurythmics from just that song and maybe a couple more, but there's some good songs in the album.
Yeah, in particular, I don't know, Jennifer. I don't know quite why it stuck with me, but Jennifer was a really good song.
Mm,
So I'd recommend that one to people. And just the album generally, yeah, it's cool. It's quite dark. I don't know. To me, it felt really kind of dark and moody, which I liked
mm,
and wasn't expecting. So
mm.
it was cool. So yeah, thank you. It was a good listen.
Good. Fantastic. I'm glad. And from your 1980s pick, you asked me to listen to Stop Making Sense, which is live performance by Talking Heads.
Yeah.
Was that the name of the tour? Stop Making Sense?
I'm
Or was
not
that just a film?
sure. It might have just been the film.
American concert film. Yeah, so I listened to the album Stop Making Sense from 1984. And it was funny because I'm glad you made me listen to a live album
Yeah.
because I didn't really know that I knew quite a few songs by
Yeah.
Talking Heads.
Yeah.
And the fact that I listened to them live and it was more fun.
Yeah.
For example, the album starts with Psycho Killer,
Yeah.
and the rendition of Psycho Killer is so much fun in this album. And I think if I had listened to it in the actual album, in the studio album, I think I would have not enjoyed it so much because it was like, I know Psycho Killer, and then I know and then I think I knew one in the middle, but I don't remember which one, and then Burning Down the House. So every couple of tracks I knew one of the tracks, and it was fun because I don't know, live they're really good. They because I knew some of the songs, I've noticed how much they like change the song in the live performance.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same, but not. It's not like Bob Dylan change, but like it's more kind of like this is the live.
It has a slightly different energy, doesn't it? Which you can still recognize it as the song, unlike Bob Dylan.
Exactly. Yeah, it was like,
that
never
might have
mind.
been Maggie's fault. I don't know.
Who knows? But I really enjoyed it, and there's a lot of instrumental. There's a lot of instrumental sections in the live album, and I just thought it was really good. And I didn't realize I knew so many Talking Head songs. How do
They
I
creep
know?
in.
Yeah, and you go, what? This is Talking Heads, like Burning Down the House. Well, I think I know Burning Down the House. Wasn't there Tom Jones and the Cardigans did Burning Down the House?
Yes, I think they did when he did that album of covers, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think that's why I know Burning Down the House. I just remembered Tom Jones and the Cardigans. Yeah.
And did you know the song after that, Girlfriend Is Better, is really good? Or Once in a Lifetime, you might have known.
Yeah.
Take Me to the River.
But I thought it was really, really good album, and live they're really, really amazing. And even from us like listening to them, it just seemed like they were having a great time.
Oh, definitely. And if you do get a chance to, you should watch the concert film itself because it is one of those iconic films. And the way it starts is great because it is just David Byrne walks out on stage on his own and he puts down like a cassette player. And that's in the one you heard. He says, "I've got a song I want to play," and he presses play on this cassette player, and it starts that click track that he sings "Psycho Killer" to.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the band start to come in over and over until finally the full band is there ready for like the next track or whatever. It's really well done. And as a visual
It's so
performance,
good.
it really works. So if you get a chance to, check it out. It's good.
Good
Cool.
times.
Good
All
times.
around.
All right. Shall we get into our top 5 then?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our top 5.
Okay. So our top 5 today is top 5 Coen Brothers movies. And as we said up top, we've both left off the Big Lebowski just because
Yeah.
that's just overall one of our favorite films anyway. It almost doesn't, I mean, it is a Coen Brothers movie, but it doesn't come under the category in an odd way, just because of, it's transcended almost. Anyway, so putting that aside, everything else was on the
Anywho.
table from Blood Simple all the
Yeah.
way up to what was the most recent one? The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah, which I just realized I haven't seen a few of them.
Oh, there's a handful I've not seen. I've never watched
Like, I
Miller's
haven't seen the
Crossing.
last 2.
Yeah. Oh, have you not seen Hail Caesar?
No, which I
Interesting.
don't know why I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you should check it out. But I haven't seen The Man Who Wasn't There. I haven't seen Miller's Crossing. I haven't
No.
seen. There's a handful that I've not seen. Partly because I never like to watch the full filmography of a director I really like, because I like to kind of have stuff left to discover, if that makes sense. Like there's a couple of David Lynch movies I've never watched, which is I should need to watch them at some point. But anyway, putting all that aside, these are my 5 favorite ones of the ones I've seen.
Okay.
So at number 5, I've got an early one. I think it's their second film from 1987. It stars one of my favorite actors of all time, Nicolas Cage, and it is the film Raising Arizona. Yeah, with Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter. Nicolas Cage plays a character improbably named H.I. or High. Holly Hunter plays his wife,
Yeah.
Ed. And it's the tale of 2 people who steal a baby,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
It's a cool movie because it's very like, I've seen people describe it as like a live action Looney Tunes cartoon almost. Like Nicolas Cage is almost like he's playing Wile E. Coyote or something in this movie. That like he's got this completely out of control haircut in the film, and he does just look like a cartoon. And the film's plot, to describe it, 2 people steal a baby because they what is it? A local businessman has like quintuplets, which is how many children is that? 4, 8,
5.
5 even. So they steal one of them because they're like, oh, they've got 5. They don't need all 5 of them. And they find out that Ed can't have children. And they can't adopt because HI is a criminal. So yeah, they steal one of these babies, and it could be an incredibly serious drama, but the Coen brothers intentionally set out to do, because especially in the early days, they seemed to like veer between doing very serious crime thrillers and then very, very goofy screwball comedy type movies. And Raising Arizona definitely falls into this kind of screwball comedy side. And I like both sides happily, which is why I'm such a fan of their work. And yeah, it's just, you've seen it, I assume, Alex.
No.
You've not seen Raising Arizona?
No.
What?
I thought I had.
Yeah.
And maybe I have, but like a long, long time ago.
Okay.
But I watched the trailer today and I was like,
I
have
recognize
not seen this film.
Oh, wow.
I don't recognize anything.
Well,
but it looks fun.
It is fun. And, Nicolas Cage, Holly Hunter are really good. John Goodman is just awesome, and like isn't awesome in everything. You've got William Forsythe's in there. Frances McDormand turns up, who we'll talk about Frances McDormand more today, I'm sure. But she's great in everything she's ever done. Yeah, it's a really fun movie. I really, really like Raising Arizona, and obviously I mean, I don't know how well Nicolas Cage and the Coen brothers got on behind the scenes because he never turned up again in any of their other work. But
yeah, and this is only their second film.
Yeah, and they are very much of the type of director who every single thing that happens in the film is in their script. Like they don't do improvisation and stuff. Even scenes that feel improvised in some of their movies, everything is on the screen.
Yeah.
Like in Fargo, William H. Macy's character does a lot of kind of stuttering and stammering and stuff, and apparently all of those specific little mannerisms were in the script. Like there's no improv. And I think Nicolas Cage is an actor that likes to kind of be weird and try out different things. So I'm not sure how well that's probably might be why he never turned up in any of their other movies. But for this one time, it was great, and I love it. So it's a good film. Raising Arizona, number 5.
Good.
What's
So
your
my number 5. My number 5 is the 2009 Coen Brothers film, and is a black comedy called A Serious Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I I was looking at reviews. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to enjoy this film, but
What do you mean?
I don't know. They're like so the film is about Larry Gopnik, who is a physics professor in the 1960s, and it's basically a film where his life just falls apart.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that, isn't it? His life falls apart. His daughter steals money from him for a blowjob. For a blowjob.
What? What?
His daughter steals money from him for a nose job. His son smokes a lot of pot, and his wife wants to divorce him. And nobody seems to want to help him. He's not getting anything in life. It's just, I don't know. It's just so, in a way, like even the color of it is so bleak.
Yeah.
I think it's like funny, but like it shouldn't be funny because this guy is actually struggling. But the way that it's been made, it's got some like really funny moments in it.
Yeah, I always
Like,
remember there's a bit where he's like being rung by a company that sells CDs or vinyls over the phone,
Yeah.
and they're just repeatedly asking him if he wants this Santana album, and it's just the way the Coen Brothers write it, and the way he's
Yeah.
like, "No, I don't want." I can't exactly remember how it goes, but that scene sticks in my mind more than any other scene in the film, because it's just
Yeah.
this way of their writing being so funny that what shouldn't be a funny situation at all is just turned into something hilarious.
Sometimes quite cruelly and painfully hilarious, but I just love A Serious Man.
Yeah, it's got a
There's
great
so much.
ending as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Like-
The ending is always in like I've saw in the last shots in a lot of them.
Yeah, because it's so,
Yeah.
and it's a great kind of. Won't spoil what it is, but it's great because it's so disconnected in a way from the rest of the film.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
kind of it just the whole theme of the movie is basically like bad things are going to happen to you, and you can't predict them, and you don't know when they're going
Yeah.
to come. And the way the movie ends perfectly sort of encapsulates that, which is really cool.
Yeah, and
It's
I just love it. This and Burn After Reading for me were like the most kind of like ones that, because they're all kind of like in a tragic moment, aren't they? They're like both films are like in a kind of tragic,
Yeah,
but they're just funny.
and just things things spiraling out of control. in a way
Spiral
that
out of
can't be
control.
predicted.
Yeah.
Is a big
Yeah,
theme
and
for them in some of their films, and it's great.
yeah, and just like spiral out of control, and these people, and you're not supposed to laugh, but it's just hilarious, and it's just genius filmmaking.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely
that's my
feels like
number
one of
5.
their more sort of not disliked, but like almost forgotten movies. Like it doesn't seem to get the recognition.
Yeah, but that's because I think A Serious Man is the first one they put down out of The Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this is definitely one that I'm not supposed to forget. And then I was reading reviews like, but I love this film, and people were like, oh, it's a bit dry, but I kept it anyway. I haven't succumbed to reviews and stuff, and yeah.
no, I think that's fair.
And I love the trailer. I've watched the trailer again today because it's just so funny. Because in the trailer, he just like talks and talks and talks about what's going on, and then at the end of the trailer, this lady stands up and then goes to the rabbi, and the rabbi is doing absolutely nothing. And she comes back and is like, the rabbi is busy.
Yes,
He goes, but he's doing nothing. He's busy thinking. It's just like
Just an
when a
uncaring
trailer's
world.
good. Yeah. But yeah, cool. You're number 4, G.
My number 4 is A Serious Man.
No.
Yeah,
Ah.
I mean we were going to have
Amazing.
crossover, weren't we? But yeah, I love it for all the
Yeah.
reasons you've just described. It's really, really good, and
It's
it
so
is.
good.
It's weird how they win Oscars for stuff like No Country for Old Men and things like that, and,
Yeah.
and other movies that people adore. And for some reason, this film just seemed to come and go, and I don't know why. It doesn't have a hook, does it? It doesn't have like a.
No.
And it's quite autobiographical. You can tell it. They're pulling on their own pasts and their own childhoods. And
You can tell that they've grown up in
yeah,
that kind of environment.
yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
it's a bit of for that reason, it's probably a bit smaller and less dramatic. You know, there's no, I don't think, are there any guns in this film at all? Probably not. Like, it's
No.
not a big crime thriller like people want from the Coens. So that's probably why it's a
Yeah.
bit less sort of revered. But no, I think it's incredible. I think it's a really, really good, smart, clever film. So yeah, A Serious Man is my
That's why I
number 4.
love that's why I love the Coen Brothers, because I never expect anything from them. I expect a good written script, and that's pretty much it. Like
Yeah.
because that's the thing. Like in my list, there's so many different things because I feel they're just really good filmmakers.
Yeah.
It's not like, for example, you'll expect from Tarantino a certain thing, and you do, and you'll expect from Wes Anderson, the
Oh, yeah.
quirky kind of like. But from the Coen Brothers, every film for me is a surprise because although sometimes they do the same kind of thing and the themes kind of be the same, I feel like a lot of what they do is just incredible because they're so diverse in
Yeah.
every film they do.
I agree. You're right.
Yeah. So if your number 4 is my number 5,
What's your number 4?
my number 4 is it's the 2003 romantic comedy Intolerable Cruelty.
Interesting choice.
Yeah. It's the romantic comedy of the Coen Brothers, and it stars George Clooney, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Jeffrey Rush, and Edward Herrmann, and Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
So, in a few words, this film is about Miles Massey, played by George Clooney, is a divorce lawyer, and he specialized in saving the rich husbands paying expensive settlements. And he's always been unchallenged, he's always been really good until this case. It's funny because when you go and watch this film, and I watched it at the cinema, you assume there's going to be like a normal romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Like a simple, because, you have Catherine Zeta-Jones, George Clooney is going to be a fantastic romantic comedy, but it is not a romantic comedy. It is, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
It's funny, it's intelligent. Again, things spiral, and George Clooney falls for Catherine Zeta-Jones, and he shouldn't do, and she. But it's just a completely different film from the Coen Brothers, and I think them being able to do a film like this is pretty amazing, and I love it. I love Intolerable Cruelty. Have you watched it?
Oh, I've seen Intolerable Cruelty. I really like it. It's definitely, I think it was the first film the Coen Brothers wrote based on someone else's idea or something like that. I think for that reason, for some reason, people have a bit of a sniffy attitude towards it and feel it's a bit sort of beneath the Coen Brothers, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
I've even seen people kind of not count it as a Coen Brothers movie, which is bizarre to me because it's got their touches all over it. And I really like it. I completely support you having it in your top 5 because I think it's a great movie, and it would be impossible not to fall in love with Catherine Zeta-Jones in that film. So
she's amazing, and it's so different. I think it's just a completely different film, and you go in expecting one thing, and then you don't get what you're expecting.
Yeah.
In a way, and I feel like maybe it's the Coen Brothers not being scared to do what they want to do. Like they should just have free reign because they're great filmmakers, and I think this is part of it. People are sniffy about it, and probably because of the cast. Probably because of Catherine Zeta-Jones and George Clooney then is going to star in other films, but I feel like maybe that's the case as well.
Yeah.
And also, like in the same kind of year, I think Catherine Zeta-Jones came out with another film with Julia Roberts called American Sweethearts, and I think people were expecting something like that, and they didn't get that.
No,
they got a Coen Brothers film.
It's
And
so
so
much better.
Coen Brothers fans are like, oh no, it's not Coen Brothers enough. People that don't really know the Coen Brothers are like, oh, this is not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And I just loved it because it's just exactly what I expect from the Coen Brothers, just having something that is unexpected.
Yeah. No,
And
I like it.
that's my number 4.
Good
My Intolerable
choice.
Cruelty.
Okay.
Thank you. What's your number 3?
So my number 3, it's set in the 60s. It's about a man whose life is spiraling out of control while a cruel world looks on without interest. But it's not A Serious Man. It's another film of theirs set in the 60s where a man's life spirals out of control. Inside Llewyn Davis.
It's my number 3 too.
Is it? Oh, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Inside Llewyn Davis.
Yes, let's. So, Inside Llewyn Davis is a film set in the 60s in New York, in Greenwich Village, where the kind of folk scene was taking off in a big way and eventually spawned, Bob Dylan effectively is kind of the big result of that whole era. Oscar Isaac plays Llewyn Davis, a struggling folk singer living in the village and trying to make things work. He's released an album, but nobody's buying it. He's not got much money, and he's sleeping on people's couches.
Yeah.
And he basically bad things start happening to him. He's trying to make things work, and it's just a snapshot of a few days in the life of this man as he tries to make things work and maybe realizes that, it's not a very happy film, is it? Really?
No, it is not at all.
Basically, he's just maybe not gonna make it, and it's not gonna be. His future's not gonna be where he wants it to go, and he's sort of struggling. But it's just made up of all these different vignettes, almost of things he does.
Yeah.
There's an incredible scene where he works as a musician for hire for Justin Timberlake's character as they record a novelty pop song called is it called Please Mr. Kennedy, I think. And you've got a pre-fame Adam Driver is in there as part of this band as well. And there's this, me and my brother watch it on YouTube sometimes because it makes us laugh so much, where they're performing this song. It's like, please, Mr. Kennedy, I don't want to go to outer space. And it's such it's hilarious because it's an anti-going to space song, which is such a weird thing. It feels so out of touch with what the 60s was about. People were pretty keen, I think, on space. Anyway, there's that. And then there's also Adam Driver doing backing vocals, just going, outer space, outer space. And sometimes me and my brother will just suddenly say that to each other because it makes us laugh so much. Outer space. And then it's just it's such a good film. And there's a cat. There's an amazing cat in this movie. And what could you ask for more than the Coen Brothers and a cute cat?
Yeah. It's a great film.
Why do you like it?
Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love his voice. I love the fact that it's a film that you would expect that the moment it will spiral down, something will happen that's going to be good, and it doesn't. Like the last scene where he leaves the club.
Yeah.
It's the song 1,000 Miles. I listen to that every week. I love the soundtrack. It's just a good film of somebody not making it.
Yeah.
But also somebody that it feels that he's too good for anything else. So he's quite in a way, why he can't make it.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of his own worst enemy.
Yeah, he doesn't compromise, does he?
No, and in a way it's good because you shouldn't compromise for your art. Bob Dylan never, and he's not, or maybe he did at the beginning, but now he doesn't compromise. But maybe at the beginning, when you when you want to get into the industry, you should compromise.
Yeah.
I just think is great. The coloring of it is this bluish kind of always kind of unhappy mood, I feel. Yeah. And Kerry Mulligan is perfect in it.
Yeah.
What's she not perfect in? She's perfect in everything.
She really is.
Yeah. So no, I really enjoyed this film. It's a good film.
Nice. I like it. Okay, so that's my number 3 and your number 3, right?
Yeah.
Good. So
So what's your number 2?
my number 2 is back to their sort of screwball comedy stuff. It's their
Yeah.
2000 crime comedy drama, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Why are you looking at me like that?
That's my number 2.
No, go home.
I thought it is.
Get out. Get out of town.
No.
Go home.
No, it's just true. It's true. I can't even change it. I'm not. It is taking too long to make this list. I'm not changing it. You can change it.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not changing it. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is a story. What you want me to? Do you actually want me to change it?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
of course not. It's change it. Yeah,
It's set in 1937, rural Mississippi. It follows three
Mississippi.
follows three prisoners who are part of a chain gang that escape and try to fix their lives. It's loosely based on Homer's Odyssey, the classic Greek epic.
Yeah.
And the three prisoners are played by George Clooney in what is probably my favourite role that he's ever done, I think. I
Yeah.
can't think of a film I like him in more than this one.
Mm-hmm.
John Turturro, who is
Yeah.
a regular in the Coen's world and is wonderful in this, is wonderful in everything. And Tim Blake Nelson, who again this is probably the quintessential Tim Blake Nelson role. It's almost perfect.
It's so good in this film.
And it's kind of iconically the first movie to ever be digitally color corrected in post production, which gives the entire movie this kind of sepia tone, which works for it perfectly. The soundtrack won a Grammy because it is frankly incredible and perfect.
Incredible. It's so good.
And similar to Inside Llewyn Davis, and a lot of their films actually, they kind of come back to this. It's again sort of composed of different little vignettes. And sort of this is in line with it being based on the Odyssey, I suppose, because this kind of, but they encounter various different characters and people as they kind of travel across Mississippi to look for, or basically for George Clooney. George Clooney's character has a journey he's going on, essentially.
Yeah, he has to get back to his wife, like Ulysses.
Exactly.
Yes.
And along the way, they encounter John Goodman in a sinister, weird role. They encounter a bunch of.
He's evil in that. Like that was gonna be one of my movie villains because he's horrific in there.
He is. He plays good evil.
Or was it? Yeah.
Because he's also in, and it's not on my list, but I like it. Barton Fink. Have you seen Barton Fink?
Yeah.
And he's effectively playing the devil in that movie. I think like he's awful in that film. You've got Chris Durning, who played the titular Big Lebowski in the Big Lebowski, playing like the governor of Mississippi. He's really, really good in it. And yeah, it's incredibly funny, like incredibly funny.
Yeah.
And George Clooney is a Dapper Dan man, and that's all we need to say.
Yeah. It's a great film, mastery of filmmaking, funny, bad at some points. When the John Goodman bit, it's just, for me, it's terrifying. He's terrifying because he's just so violent. And I think one of the things in the Coen Brothers films, like when violence is so kind of brutal, isn't it? But in a kind of like maybe slapsticky kind of way.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be funny, but at the same time that the people are actually suffering.
Yeah.
So it's not funny, but it's just, I don't know. I just love this film. The music in it is incredible and it's so much fun. And Ollie Hunter is the wife, and she's really good.
Yeah. Holly Hunter from Raising Arizona.
On the piano.
Yeah.
But it's not from here.
That's not a Coen Brothers movie though. But yeah.
Yeah, from Raising Arizona. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just brilliant. I love it.
What else to say? It's a good film. It's just good film.
And it was again the Coens, not super early in their career, but in like a midpoint of their career, showing that what they can do, because it was a bit pretty unlike anything they've ever done before or since, really. A kind of big period I mean, Llewyn Davis's Serious Man are period dramas, but not in the same way.
Yeah.
Oh Brother Right Vow
Mm.
feels like it exists in its own universe,
Yeah,
which is cool. I love it. I just love it. It's such a good film.
definitely.
So there we go. That's my number 2. That's your number 2 as
Cool.
well.
My number 2. What is your number 1?
My number 1, I've got a real strong suspicion that it's going to be the same again.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
My number 1 favorite Coen Brothers movie is their. What year did it come out? The 1996 black comedy grime film Fargo.
No.
Okay, good.
Thank goodness. No.
Yeah, Fargo was probably their breakout film. I reckon.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
set in. It's kind of a period film as well because I think it's set in the 80s. Oh no, it's set during the end of No, hang on. Yeah, it's set in 1987, but it came out in 1996, so it's sort of a bit of a period piece. It is a film. Again, it's about events spiraling out of control in a way that nobody can predict, and just bad things happening to bad people, and bad things happening to good people as well. Yep, that's covered, and just generally bad things happening to everyone, and people not really knowing what to do. It stars. It's got such a cast. Frances McDormand plays Marge Gunderson. She won an Oscar for this role, and that was the right choice because she's just incredible in this movie. Perfect, playing a police detective who's assigned to investigate this murder. William H. Macy plays Jerry Lundegaard, a used car salesman. Oh, a car salesman, so I don't think he's a used car salesman. Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare play 2 kidnappers. You've got John Carroll Lynch, the great John Carroll Lynch, who was in The Invitation, playing Norm Gunderson, Margie's husband. It's just full. It's full of incredible actors, and it's so incredibly funny. I watched it last week to remind myself of it, and every single line Steve Buscemi has in this movie is so funny and so hilarious. And it's so fascinating that they made this film. It won a couple of Oscars. It didn't win them Best Film or Best Director, which is ridiculous. The English Patient stole all their Oscars that year, but it kind of put them on the map in a big way. And then the follow-up project from them was The Big Lebowski, which was a big flop and has gone on to be, a big cult hit and probably the most popular movie.
Yeah.
But Steve Buscemi plays 2 such different characters in Fargo and in The Big Lebowski, and it's really, really to see the range of that actor is awesome, and what the Coens can get out of him. I love that. And Peter Stormare actually is in The Big Lebowski. He plays a nihilist. So yeah, I love it. Have you seen Fargo?
Yes, but again, like Raising Arizona, I think I watched it but a very long time ago. So I was watching it today and I was like, I remember some scenes, but I don't remember others. So I could say no, probably, because I don't remember most of it.
Okay, that's fair.
Maybe if I was watching the trailer, so maybe if I watch it again, I'll say, oh yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, but you don't remember it well
I
enough.
remember more than Raising Arizona, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Interesting.
I thought I did.
It's one of those. And the Coen Brothers are great at these kinds of films because The Big Lebowski was this as well, where I think the first time I watched it, I remember being a bit like, okay, that was pretty good. And then every time I watched it since, I like it more. Like I've watched Fargo about 4 times now, and when I watched it last week, I was laughing at almost every single line in the movie. Like it's so funny. Steve Buscemi has some parts in this movie where he's just, it's so good. So yeah, I love Fargo. I think it's not their best movie because that's The Big Lebowski for me, but out of this top 5, is my number 1 spot goes to Fargo. Out of all their films, that's the one I'm putting at the top because I adore it. And yeah, it's got Frances McDormand in it.
Love her.
Yep, she's great. She's so
my favorite actress.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
That's my number 1.
Cool. My number 1, it is not that. Good. My number 1 is the Coen Brothers 2010 film True Grit.
Interesting.
True Grit is about this outlaw played by Josh Brolin, that murders Mattis, a 14-year-old girl's father, and she hires Jeff Bridges, a boozy, trigger-happy lawman, to find Tom Chaney, who killed her father. And they don't get along very well. They're quite bickering.
Yeah.
They bicker, and it's quite. I like the duo between Haley Steinfeld and Jeff Bridges, like this young girl arguing with this old man, and her making more sense than he does.
Yeah.
I just love that duo. And then they find they also, to their journey, a Texas Ranger called LeBuff, played by Matt Damon. Matt Damon is in a Coen Brothers film, not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all.
And these three venture in hostile territory to find the killer of Matty's dad. I love this film. I'm not a fan of westerns.
No, me neither.
But I really, really enjoyed this film. I thought it was another part of the Coen Brothers that was away from the normal, their kind of what people expect.
Yeah, it's a remake.
Yeah, and I really, really enjoyed it. I love how I feel like maybe they kind of make actors feel totally at their ease in their film in a way that they can do their acting best. Because I feel in the film, everybody is amazing in it, and everything that happens is great, and I just loved it. And I didn't think I was gonna love it as much as I did, but I was obsessed with this film when it came out.
Wow.
It's another tick on their brilliance of filmmaking, making a remake and making it totally their own, but also quite faithful to the film. But bringing it to a different era, and I just loved it. I loved True Grit, so that's why my number one. Have you seen True Grit?
I've only seen it once when it came out.
Watch it again.
Well, I don't remember. I wasn't too keen on it.
Watch it again.
Okay. I watched it once when it came out, and I don't remember exactly why, but I just didn't particularly connect with it. So yeah, maybe I do need to give it another go.
Cool.
But an interesting pick for number one. I wouldn't have predicted it. So fascinating, interesting.
Good.
Yeah. All right. I mean, honorable mentions is an odd one because it's just their entire filmography, really.
Yeah.
But
it's all the other films. So.
I guess we'll go through the top five again. I guess.
Yeah.
So my top five was number 5, Raising Arizona. Number 4, A Serious Man. Number 3, Inside Llewyn Davis. And number 2, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Finally, number 1, Fargo. I don't know why I said it like that's bizarre. Why did I do that?
Okay, so my number 5. My number 5, A Serious Man. My number 4, Intolerable Cruelty. My number 3, Inside Llewyn Davis. My number 2, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? My number 1, True Grit.
Mm-hmm. I like it. So I guess, like I said, honorable mentions is an odd one because it's the whole filmography. But if I was going to highlight a couple of others that I like, I'd go with The Big Lebowski, obviously. No Country for Old Men, the movie that did win them, that finally got them the Oscars for Best Direct. No, they didn't get. I think they just got Best Picture. Anyway, No Country for Old Men, Barton Fink, and Hudsucker Proxy.
Yes, and if I had to say a few that I like, probably the ones you've said, apart from No Country for Old Men, which I haven't watched, and Burn After Reading. I feel like is the most insane film. It's just a really silly film.
I've only seen that once and I don't remember it at all. I need to watch it again.
Yeah. Brad Pitt in it is class.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons is in that one as well, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's cool, good stuff.
Yeah.
So homework time.
Yeah. So you've seen all. Well, maybe you should watch a Coen film that you've never seen.
Yeah, I could. Well, I could watch Miller's Crossing or The Man Who Wasn't There. I could rewatch True Grit and give you an update on it as I don't remember it.
Yeah,
Shall I do that?
maybe you should do that.
Okay.
Watch True Grit,
And I think you should
give me
watch
an update.
Fargo.
Definitely,
Yeah, check out Fargo.
definitely, and I'll tell you if I remember.
Because I mean, Francis McDormand's your favourite actor.
Yeah, but I was convinced that I had watched it, and then I was like, and then when I was researching for this, and I was looking at things like, have I? And I was really confused, so I couldn't put it in because, like, I remember certain things, but I don't remember everything.
Yeah.
And if it's not in my head,
Yeah,
then
no,
it's
that's
not going to
fair.
be like.
I think you'll
Yeah.
like it though when you go back to it. I mean, I can't. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great movie. Okay, so if you were going to recommend one thing from your culture catch up this week, what would you recommend?
This is difficult this week. Okay,
You can do two if you want.
I would definitely watch One Child Nation,
Yep.
and I would recommend Brittany Runs a Marathon.
Yeah, okay. You sounded like you
Yes.
really liked that, and I think it's one of the less well-known films.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it because I feel it gives like an honest and more truthful insight of things, and I like the direction where films and music and society in a way is going with pressure on people. But yeah, those two.
I like it.
How about
Well,
you?
if people have an opportunity to, I'd recommend It Takes Two, the co-op video game that I've been playing. It's really, really brilliant. And also, watch Run on Netflix. It's a really good thriller. Really,
Okay.
really good. If you like Misery, if you like Sarah Paulson, you know, it's worth checking out. And if you saw Searching as well, because that movie is awesome, and this director is continuing to make really good films. So yeah, check out Run. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. It's been an absolute smash and a pleasure. Next week, we'll be counting down our top 5 thriller films. We're going to go to a genre rather than a decade because we like to mix things up and keep it fresh and original, like you expect from us at this point. Yeah? Good.
Yeah.
So top 5 thriller films next week. That'll be interesting. I'm excited to do that. So join us for that. Please check the show notes for links to all the things we talked about in Culture Catch Up, to the YouTube videos we shared in MyTube, and to links to all our social media channels, Instagram, Twitter, letterboxd, we're on there. And you can find links to all of that in the show notes. Please come and visit and follow and talk to us. Email us your top 5s if you'd like. And we'll read them out and it'll be great. So thank you so much for being with us and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
I love you.
Bye.